Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. After the joint meeting, the work session includes a special session, an 87 special session. Can you get a motion to go into special session, please?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval resolution, the execution of a residential lease agreement for the property located at 38 North Potomac Street, Apartment 1.
Mr. Mayor, wait a second. A resolution authorizing the execution of a residential lease agreement at the city hereby move that the mayor and city council approve the attached of Hagerstown property located at 38 North Potomac Street in Hagerstown, Maryland. The lease will be between the city of Hagerstown and Caitlin Bell and shall be in effect from November 15th, 2019 to November 30th, 2020. Second.
Discussion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Begrudgingly, I guess I'll sign that. Approval of an Invest Hagerstown City Center redevelopment grant application, 58 South Potomac Street, Schmeckles, Dubé.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and city council to approve the attached Invest Hagerstown City Center redevelopment grant application for the renovation project at 58 South Potomac Street. The total project cost is $3,300,000. The Invest Hagerstown redevelopment grant amount is $250,000. This is a mayor and city council directed incentive, and this grant application and related development plan meets the city's vision for the redevelopment of the city center and is in compliance with the program guidelines. Staff are authorized to issue a letter of commitment in the amount of $250,000. No funds will be dispersed until staff has verified that all work in the development plan is completed to the city's satisfaction and the total project cost expenditure requirements have been met. Funding for this grant will come from the Invest Hagerstown line item in the fiscal year 2020 Economic Redevelopment Fund with a project completion deadline of July 1, 2020.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of an Invest Hagerstown City Center redevelopment grant application for 7 East Washington Street, the Alexander House Public Square retail space.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the mayor and city council to approve the attached Invest Hagerstown City Center redevelopment grant application for the renovation project at 7 East Washington Street / Alexander House Public Square retail space. The total project cost is $657,000. The Invest Hagerstown redevelopment grant amount is $100,000. This is a mayor and city council directed incentive, and this grant application and related development plan meets the city's vision for the redevelopment of the city center and is in compliance with the program guidelines. Staff are authorized to issue a letter of commitment in the amount of $100,000. No funds will be dispersed until staff has verified that all work in the development plan is completed to the city's satisfaction and the total project cost expenditure requirements have been met. Funding for this grant will come from the Invest Hagerstown line item in the fiscal year 2020 Economic Redevelopment Fund with a project completion deadline of December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. All right, we'll move out of the special session into the work session. First item is Main Street, Hagerstown's Chris Kendall Market. Look at that, Caitlin Bell, Economic Development Specialist for Main Street Volunteers.
Seems to fit in with what you're asking about. Caroline. Oh, the first of March.
Oh, yeah,
Fest,
yeah, yeah.
Tree lighting.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful, snowy, unexpected day. With me today, I have Monica Wertman and Dieter Blossel, and we are here to talk about the very exciting 3rd annual Christ Kindle Market. We have some new things going on this year. Instead of a one-day market, it is now a 2-day market happening on November 30th and December 1st. We have about 40 vendors this go around, and it is just 18 days away. So we're having anything from food, cookies, hot chocolate, to artisan wood crafters, stained glass. We have handmade wreaths and quilts and wonderful things like that. So we are really, really excited to share with you that we are doing this for our third year, and now it's over 2 days. So I'm going to turn it over to our volunteers to give you a little bit more of an update, as they know a little bit more about it than I do.
You want to go first?
No, go. You just.
Okay. So, of course, you know, it's German themed, and this year we just really made sure that the public understands that there's local artisans and stuff, because last year apparently it was a little bit of misunderstanding. Some people thought we were shipping people in from Germany, I don't know. So, it's all local artisans, and we have some of the same food again. And of course, you can get booze again, and Dieter can talk to that a little bit more of what exactly that is. But if you've been before, then you know you'll be able to stay warm by drinking mulled wine and having lots of goodies. And it is all German specialized and inspired by it. So, yeah. Dieter?
We have, this is the third year, and we're changing now a little bit this year to 2 days. As well, we have changed, the liquor license is a little bit changed this year because of some difficulties what we have to work out in the next year, hopefully. And this year, the liquor license is not under my name or under the student license. It is under.
I'm carrying it, yeah.
She's carrying this year the license. However, there will be, just as the last 2 years, there will be TAM certified people there who's serving the alcohol. I am there as well. She will be more in the presence of the alcohol, and because she's responsible for it. So it has not much changed except the name, and we are having the same procedures as we had the last 2 years about safety. With we have gates. We are watching the gates that nobody leaves with the alcohol, as the liquor board is required us to do. So we have no, I don't think that anything will be changed what we had the last 2 years. So it should be a safe event again as we had the last 2 years, and hopefully it will keep growing. And yeah, that's what we're looking forward to this year.
And we're also the kids zone, instead of being in the Roblox like last year, it's over at USMH in their main entry, kind of, where they have events where the chamber functions are happening and that kind of thing. So they're letting us use that this year. We'll have some inside music there, and we have some carolers walking around dressed up in Dickinson clothing and that kind of thing. So it'll be a festive event, and I hope you can all come and partake and spend money and just have fun, you know.
May I say something real quick? And I'm sorry about that one, but we have this year, the university, Mark, did allow us to use the space, and it's very helpful with all that. And I just would like to mention that he's really catering to us to help us to put this event together. And maybe if he needs a helping hand, that we can give him a helping hand as well, if he needs to. I would appreciate that. But that's just what I want to say, what he's doing for this event. And it is a city-run event, so it is helpful for all of us.
And if you guys have teenagers or something who needs SSL hours, we are still signing up volunteers.
Yes.
We never fall short, but it never hurts to have. Or if y'all want to put in an hour.
Have
know,
you reached
there's-
out to the Youth Advisory Council by chance?
We've gone through the schools again, through the counselors and.
So just, as a suggestion, the Hagerstown Youth Advisory Council, they're looking for, some ways to,
Okay.
get more involved in the community. There's quite a few of them, so might be a good connection.
Yeah, good, thanks. We'll reach out to them too. And we're also I'm going Thursday to the German class at North High. And I'm gonna talk to all the German students there about what it is traditional, why we bought it here and all that good stuff, and hopefully we'll get some volunteers out of that too, so. We're just trying to get it known a little bit more, why and how and all that, so.
Yeah. We've had great partnership with USMH as well as HPD. They're providing overnight security for products that vendors can leave over that Saturday and Sunday night. So they are working in some overtime for us to make sure that those vendors can feel comfortable leaving their items. And because it is a Saturday, we also have the Holly Fest at the Maryland Theater happening, as well as the Christmas tree lighting, and
Yeah,
Santa
that,
will be.
why did we change the Christmas tree lighting to that Saturday?
I'm not sure.
We did that so it would be like this festive weekend that starts out the holiday season. And with the tree lighting, with everything being at the same time, we're bringing in more people downtown that hopefully will stay town. They'll start shopping in the morning, they're staying for that, and then we'll hopefully stay for dinner in the restaurants downtown too, making it an all-encompassing event that has several layers, you know, should attract more people. That's why we requested to do that. So, plus it makes sense to light the tree after Thanksgiving.
What time are we gonna light the tree?
I believe it's 5 PM.
Yep,
Stay till rise at 5.
It's dark at 5 yet.
It will be
Yes.
then.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, it'll be dark by 5.
Yeah.
yeah.
And Santa will be there that night, but he will also be at the Chris Kindle Market earlier that day, as well as Sunday.
Thank you guys for
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot of
We're
work.
gonna leave behind some save the dates.
Okay,
Thank you, of course. Thank you all.
thank you.
Update on the Warner Holiday Dam Edgemont Reservoir project.
Good afternoon. Scott asked us to come back and give you a little bit of an update on the Warner Holiday Dam Edgemont Reservoir project. After our meeting in August, we did meet with Delegate Quarterman, and we discussed the project history, MDE requirements, as it pertained to the regulatory requirements in the Dam Safety Program, as well as Safe Drinking Water Act program, and what our funding needs were. We were subsequently notified by MDE that our fiscal year 17, that we were still on the IUP, the intended use plan. We were originally told that we were no longer on that plan because we couldn't submit duplicate funding applications. So if the subsequent funding application included the original project, then the original scope of services, then that funding was no longer available. MDE had a preference for it to be one project, if you will, one general contractor, you know, one notice to proceed, and so on and so forth. So that was why we submitted a new funding application in 2018. As you know, the funding application in 2018 was not ranked very well. It did not make the IUP, which kind of got us to where we were. We have a very expensive project and we have no funding. After MDE indicated that the $4.2 million with the 1.4 in principal forgiveness was available, we did follow up and ask them about the scope of work that was identified in that funding application and the possibility for multiple contractors and overlapping construction projects. The disturbance areas, if you would be overlapping each other. So you would have two contractors working in the same spot, which usually doesn't work well. MDE did indicate that it was their preference to have only one GC, one general contractor, and that we were to submit a new funding application. We are, Bill, I should say, is working very diligently with our engineers to get the water conservation plan and the water capacity plan completed, because MDE is saying if you don't have some of these documents, your project will not be ranked and rated favorably. In fact, Mayor and Council approved that change order not so long ago to get those two documents done. They will be done and plenty of time for the funding package that'll be submitted in January. So we're hoping that we're successful this time in getting the amount of money that we request. Of course, the local match will continue to be, the engineering fees. Water fund dollars are paying those. So we do have that match money, or we do have match in place. We're also still hoping for principal forgiveness, and because of the size of the project, we're also hoping for, the maximum grant award, which I believe is $1.5 million. The state, and this is true, I could say this for any state, the states, nor the federal government, they do not have, if you will, a pocket of money. They do not identified for dam projects. It doesn't matter where you go in the United States. There's no pocket of money that's available. So MDE is still requiring that, even though this is a drinking water project, that we use Clean Water Act funds, which are typically used for wastewater. So we will be competing with wastewater treatment plants with upgrades. We'll be competing with the stormwater management, the rain fee that we're all talking about. We'll be competing with those folks. The Clean Water Act fund, there's a lot of demand for it, but we're hopeful, since we seem to have been elevated on the priority list with MDE. We're hoping that we'll be successful this time when we ask for funding for the entire project. We continue to, and like I said, Bill's taken the lead on this, to work on the different plans that the state's requiring. We're hoping that very soon that the state assigns the allocation or appropriation for Edgemont, so we have a better idea of what we need to do for Brickner moving forward. And we're also hoping that Pennsylvania finishes their PMP model so that we can get the design going again for Edgemont. We're waiting, we're still MDE is still requiring us to look at Pennsylvania's model. We've already looked at Maryland's and Virginia to decide the best way to design the emergency spillway. So that's supposed to be out end of year. They're saying December, so we're hoping there's no delays on that. So we can, get the design. We can go ahead and let Hazen know, start working. Right now, we put the design on hold because we don't have enough information to move forward. So we're hopeful that all of those things fall in place, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We'll be busy.
It's very disheartening that with all the talk about focus on infrastructure, that there's no funding anywhere in the federal government to deal with a crumbling dam. And how much more infrastructure can that be? But that's really something.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that sees the irony in the notion that we are attempting to improve a water source north of the city. That we're seeking assistance to do so in order to provide public water to other areas that are requesting it north of the city, in which that legal entity is saying can't go get the water themselves. We just had a meeting an hour ago about the MRGA, in which the state's saying, hey, there's, the folks up there in that north area can't drill their own wells, but we're not sure we want you, solidifying long-term the water source in those northern areas that'll then come down in to go back north to serve them through the mechanism in which we require you to do so. And by the way, in order to get that, you got to comply with the Water Capacity Management Plan, which is the plan that is used to determine that you don't have the sources necessary to provide those areas to the north that they're saying can't go get it themselves. That's such an odd circular,
And the water
an absence of
conservation
connection.
plan that, you know, the combination. I think one of the toughest things with, you know, with the dam rehabilitation projects is that there's no good pot of money. It's not identified as a fundable project in the Safe Drinking Water Act, and, you know, we have to look at downstream water quality in the event of a dam failure as a justification for funding under the Clean Water Act. Downstream water quality is what this funding, and that kind of goes back to, there's no good funding source. And that was one of the things when Scott asked for legislative priorities, what are your ideas? And I said, well, we need to push the state, you know, on funding for Edgemont. And realistically, everybody needs to push the federal government for funding for programs for dam projects.
It was just 10 years ago, I believe, we used federal funds to secure, I think it was through U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the spillway areas of the dam, right? Didn't U.S. Fish and Wildlife do a project up at Edgemont?
Yeah, it
For
was.
like the pools that
They
step
did
down?
yeah, it was a fish ladder project. It was
Right?
yeah, it was, yeah, they did.
Which is for the spillway area, for the downwater
Yeah,
resource area.
and as you may
Or the
remember.
downstream resource area,
Yeah, and as you may remember, the last time
which
we.
was federal funds.
And the last time we talked, the state is requiring we go back and evaluate the fish ladder to make sure that through just storm
But it
events.
was the fish experts that designed and
Well,
gave us
but-
the money and,
But we've had some high water events, and they want to assure that it goes, see, that was designed, part of the design was for the conservation flow, the flow-by for the stream.
Right.
And we've had some storm events, and which causes, you know, rocks and stuff to move, because it's a natural, they use, you know, rock and so forth to create the fish ladder. So we actually have to go back and look at that through this project. But yes, you're right.
Maybe we need to seek federal funding to pull the pipe north of Showalter Road so that MDE will let us drill all the wells we want.
But we, you know, I would say, you know, the good news is that MD, there's dialogue again, and there hasn't been dialogue in quite some time. So there is dialogue again, and, you know, we'll continue to work on this, and we may come back and say, hey, we need you to rattle some chains again for us.
It's just disappointing because it seems like the longer we leave this thing sit and crumble, the more expensive it's gonna be to fix it, and it's just, it's
And
like
the
an
next
old.
new regulation that comes down, we have to adhere to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think it's imperative that we connect the dots. You know, that the water coming in, comes in and goes over and goes back up, where we're being told other jurisdictional bodies have the authority to dictate that we serve. You know what I mean? That there has to be that connection of dots for folks to understand that if you don't start at point A, you know, and address point A, there is no point D, because you don't get there.
And Smithsburg, our agreement with Smithsburg, they really don't have any excess, they don't have any extra allocation. So, you know, any growth in the town of Smithsburg is going to create additional demand on our system because, well, one, we're not selling that water there right now, but they also do not have purchased allocation up and above what they're currently using. So, you know, I don't know how their projects, you know, how any of those projects are going to go, but that potential is certainly sitting there. Time will tell. But I will say thank you for, you know, the assistance that you guys provided. You know, there is a dialogue right now, and our goal is to keep that going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
neighborhood protection, abatement of snow and ice.
All right, good afternoon, or evening, however you want to look at it and stuff here. I'm here to tell us that winter's coming, right? So, and then today's the first day of all of this cold weather that's coming in. But basically, we're looking at an opportunity here to maybe make our code a little bit more business-friendly. So just to give you a little background information on the current code, from what I could tell, it was adopted in 1982, the current standard that we have, where 4 hours is the snow removal time. So basically, when snow stops in the downtown area, you have 4 hours to remove your snow from the sidewalk. Outside the downtown area, you have 10 hours. And then in 2004, the mayor and council adopted a resolution for the staff to follow when abating public sidewalks of ice and snow and conditions, so they don't persist on property, so that we don't have these hazardous conditions. And we've been following that rule since that time period. Basically, the resolution says is that the city will not abate any public sidewalks until the city clears all of our own sidewalks first. We won't spend taxpayers' dollars on abating other ones until we finish all of ours. Basically, the inspectors go out, we patrol the areas. If we identify properties that have snow and ice on their sidewalks prior to receiving the all clear, or if a citizen calls in with a concern, we go out and notify the property owner, either through a door hanger, talking to them, any way that we're able to make communication to let them know that they have these types of conditions and they need to remove it from their sidewalk. And then after we receive the all clear and they haven't abated it, we post it for a notice, give them 24 hours. If they fail to, then the city will go in and abate it and send them a bill for the expenses. Basically, what we're looking to do is that generally by history, the city has received these all clears, our department has from all city departments, within about 24 hours after the snow stops. The city has all of their sidewalks clear, so we feel that we should just change our code and give everyone 24 hours to clear their sidewalks after the snow has stopped. And then with part of that, of changing that code, it would be updating the resolution to say those changes to the code, but also would give us the ability to go ahead and abate these vacant and abandoned properties prior to receiving the all clear. This is where we get majority of our complaints from citizens, is the vacant property. If we let them sit there longer, then that will make it where we will still receive these complaints. It's time to show we're being more proactive. We know about these properties, it's just addressing it ahead of time. So basically, it's just kind of looking to relax the standard on these timelines for abating snow.
I'm okay with it and applaud you for attempting to be more business friendly. So, thank you.
I'm okay with it also. I think that in practicality, that's what we're doing anyway.
Yes. Thank you.
I am okay with it as well. I do have a question though, because I actually got a complaint about this last year. When Barbara Ingram is in session and it's snowing during the day, those kids have to walk back and forth. Whose responsibility is it to make sure their sidewalks are clear? Because I totally agree 24 hours, and my sidewalk isn't clear within 10 hours. I'll be the first to admit it, but they are high school kids walking down our street. So is there any way that we can ensure that they are not having to walk through snow?
I don't know, as far as who's responsible, that is the abutting property owner for the
So
sidewalk.
all of those, okay. Well,
But we
that's
generally try to
that's not
focus
feasible, so.
on, yeah, we focus on the school pass, the walking pass for the kids wherever they have to go is where most of our main focus is at first before we pursue properties that are outside the walking paths.
Yeah, okay.
Don't they usually cancel school or dismiss early
If it's
gets
that
to the
much
point where
snow.
you gotta walk through snow to get back and forth?
Yeah, but not every time. And there are times when the roads are clear and the sidewalks aren't, but school's in session the next day and they're walking. I mean, I would imagine it's the same for any school. I just got a complaint about Barbara Ingram, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
City Administrator,
Nothing for me, Mayor.
Shelley.
Because we have all, I would imagine, heard some buzz that our city, our downtown is not safe. And I disagree. I think that it's very safe. But Emily and I have discussed and have come up with a community forum that is going to be held on December 3rd at Bridge of Life. We're going to have 2 forums. We're going to invite the business owners all around downtown. There is going to be one from 10 to 11:30 and one from 6 to 7:30 in order to We know that there are issues. We want to talk about possible solutions. There have been other initiatives, safety initiatives, even as close as Frederick, that have put together some ideas. And so you'll hear more about it, more of an agenda, but of course, the public is welcome. All of you are welcome. And I think it's important to hear the conversation and to open up ideas on how we can all work together to create more foot traffic there, because busy streets are safe streets, and we need to figure out how we can work together to create that. So December 3rd, 10 to 11:30, and also 6 to 7:30, if you could make sure that the agenda accommodates that. Thank you.
Nothing.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I just wanted to address, last week, we got the wage study back. That was, I think, frustrating for everyone about, wages being underpaid. And a lot of the hot topic right now is about police being underpaid. So I just wanted to make it abundantly clear, if I haven't already, that we recognize the absolute urgency and need to retaining and attracting police officers, and that we have every intention of helping solve that issue. That was number one. Number two, I actually had a meeting with a resident in the West End several weeks ago who owns a home there, and I met her and walked around the West End, and then a couple days later, Shelley and I met at the same location, walked around the West End, and there's a lot of issues with trash, with blighted properties, and they're having some concerns in their neighborhood. So Bridge to Change actually went out today. I think they said they collected 900
Gallons.
gallons of trash, which is incredible, which will help. But next Wednesday at 6:30, we have Elgin Station booked. There's going to be the police chief there, some representatives from Investor Community, I hope. And we're inviting any of the neighbors in the West End that want to come out, figure out how we can find solutions to some of the issues that they're having. So I'm going to write a press release tomorrow and make an event on a Facebook page, but we're just trying to get the community out and see how we can instill a sense of community and neighborhood again. That's number two. And number three, just to reiterate again, we recognize the absolute urgency to pay our police officers, so we are retaining and attracting them. We hear you. Just hope I've made that abundantly clear, that we have every intention of making sure we are competitive and offering a safe work environment for our officers and for our citizens. Thank you.
I don't have anything. Thank you. We're adjourned.